He cheated with the maid, and his wife caught them naked.
The rain had just stopped over Lekki, Lagos, when Ifeoma stood beside the window of her luxurious home, waiting for her husband. It was almost 10 p.m., but Chinonso had not returned. She checked her phone again. No message. For 9 years, Ifeoma had believed her marriage was strong. She had supported Chinonso when he was struggling, and together they had built a comfortable life with their 7-year-old son, Kelechi. But recently, Chinonso had changed. He came home late, protected his phone, and avoided questions. Then there was Amarachi, the beautiful young maid who had joined their household 6 months earlier. Ifeoma trusted her completely. That night, Chinonso finally entered. "Sorry, my love. Business meeting," he said. Ifeoma smiled. "Another late meeting?" "Yes." He quickly walked upstairs. Minutes later, Kelechi quietly approached his mother. "Mommy, can I tell you something?" "Of course." Daddy wasn't at work. Ifeoma froze. "How do you know?" "I saw Daddy with Amarachi outside last night. He told me not to tell you." Ifeoma's heart began pounding. She looked toward the staircase. For the first time, she wondered if the man she trusted most was hiding another woman inside her own home. The next morning, Ifeoma watched Chinonso carefully during breakfast. He acted normal, laughing with Kelechi and pretending nothing was wrong. "Are you going to the office today?" she asked. "Yes, my love. I have an important meeting." Ifeoma nodded. "Of course." After Chinonso left, she found Amarachi cleaning the living room. "Amarachi." "Yes, madam? Did you see my husband last night?" Amarachi stopped moving. I don't understand. He came home late." "Yes, madam." Ifeoma stared into her eyes. "Where was he?" Amarachi lowered her head. "I don't know." Ifeoma smiled calmly. "Okay." She walked away, but her heart was burning. Later, she called her best friend, Adiz. "I think something is happening between Chinonso and Amarachi." Adiz became serious. "Do you have proof?" "No." "Then don't confront them yet. Watch them." That evening, Chinonso returned home with an expensive handbag. "I bought this for you," he said. Ifeoma looked at the bag and forced a smile. "Thank you." But something felt wrong. Later, while Chinonso was taking a shower, his phone vibrated. Ifeoma glanced at the screen. A message appeared. "Amarachi, I can't keep waiting. You promised me." Ifeoma's hands began to tremble. She finally knew. Her husband was lying to her. Ifeoma took a picture of the message before Chinonso came out of the bathroom. She quickly placed the phone exactly where it had been. When Chinonso entered, he smiled. "Why are you so quiet?" "I'm tired," Ifeoma replied. That night, she pretended to sleep while Chinonso secretly texted someone. The next morning, he left early. Ifeoma waited 10 minutes, then followed Amarachi into the kitchen. "Amarachi, I need to ask you something." "Yes, madam." "Do you love my husband?" Amarachi's face went pale. "Madam, what are you saying?" "I asked you a simple question." Amarachi began shaking. "I would never disrespect you." Ifeoma stared at her. "Then look me in the eyes and say you have never been alone with my husband." Amarachi couldn't speak. That silence was enough. Ifeoma turned away, fighting her tears. "You were like a sister to me." "Madam, please. Don't call me madam." Amarachi started crying. "I never wanted this to happen." Ifeoma looked at her in disbelief. "So it did happen?" Before Amarachi could answer, the front door opened. Chinonso had returned unexpectedly. He walked into the kitchen and froze when he saw both women. "What is going on here?" Ifeoma slowly turned toward him. "Ask your lover." Chinonso's face went completely pale. Chinonso stared at Ifeoma, unable to speak. "Lover?" he finally whispered. Ifeoma laughed bitterly. "Don't insult me with another lie." Amarachi stood behind them, crying silently. Chinonso looked at her. "Amarachi, leave us." "No," Ifeoma said firmly. "She stays." Chinonso stepped closer. "Ifeoma, you misunderstood everything. Then explain the messages." His face changed. "What messages?" "The ones from Amarachi." Silence filled the kitchen. Ifeoma pulled out her phone and showed him the screenshot. Chinonso looked at it, then lowered his head. "You lied to me," Ifeoma whispered. "I was going to tell you." "When?" He had no answer. Ifeoma's eyes filled with tears. 9 years, Chinonso. 9 years of marriage, and you brought another woman into our home." Amarachi suddenly knelt. "Madam, I'm sorry." Ifeoma looked at her. You knew I trusted you. I know. You ate at my table. You slept under my roof. I treated you like family. Amarachi began crying harder. Chinonso reached for Ifeoma's hand. Please, listen to me. She pulled away. Don't touch me. Then Kelechi appeared at the doorway. Mommy? Everyone became silent. The little boy looked at his father. Daddy, why is mommy crying? Ifeoma immediately wiped her tears. But deep inside, she knew the real battle had only begun. That evening, Chinonso tried everything to explain himself, but Ifeoma refused to listen. You betrayed me, she said quietly. I made a terrible mistake. A mistake? Ifeoma stared at him. You didn't accidentally betray me. You chose to. Chinonso lowered his head. I love you. If you loved me, you wouldn't have done this. Meanwhile, Amarachi packed her clothes into a small bag. She had decided to leave the mansion. Before she could reach the gate, Ifeoma stopped her. Where are you going? I can't stay here anymore. Ifeoma looked at her for several seconds. You should leave. Amarachi nodded through her tears. I'm sorry, madam. Don't apologize to me. One day, you'll have to explain this to yourself. Amarachi walked away. But before she reached the gate, Chinonso followed her. Amarachi, wait. Ifeoma saw them from the upstairs window. Her husband was still chasing the woman who had destroyed their marriage. Then Amarachi turned toward him. You promised me you would leave her. Chinonso froze. Ifeoma heard enough. She walked downstairs and opened the front door. So that was your plan? Chinonso turned pale. Ifeoma looked at both of them. Now I want the whole truth. And this time, Chinonso knew there was no escape. Chinonso stood silently while Ifeoma waited for an answer. The whole truth, she repeated. Amarachi looked at Chinonso. Tell her. Chinonso finally admitted that the affair had started 3 months earlier. Ifeoma closed her eyes. 3 months. 3 months of lies inside her own home. How many times? She asked. Chinonso couldn't answer. That many? She whispered. Amarachi began crying. I loved him, she said. Ifeoma looked at her. You loved a married man. I know. And you knew I trusted you. I know. Suddenly, Chinonso's older brother, Obina, arrived at the house. He had come to discuss a family business matter, but he immediately noticed the tension. What happened? Ifeoma looked at him. Ask your brother. Obina turned toward Chinonso. Nonso? Chinonso lowered his head. Obina understood. You cheated on your wife? Nobody answered. Obina's face hardened. After everything she sacrificed for you? Chinonso whispered, I made a mistake. Obina shook his head. No. A mistake happens once. You lied for months. Ifeoma wiped her tears. I don't know if I can ever trust him again. Obina looked at her. Then don't make any decision tonight. Give yourself time. But outside the mansion, Amarachi was making a decision of her own. She wasn't going to disappear quietly. She had one final secret to reveal. The next morning, Amarachi returned to the E's mansion. Ifeoma was surprised to see her standing at the gate. Why are you here? Amarachi held a small envelope. I came to tell you the truth. Chinonso immediately stepped outside. Amarachi, please leave. She looked at him angrily. No. You lied to me too. Ifeoma's eyes narrowed. What do you mean? Amarachi handed her the envelope. Read it. Ifeoma opened it and found several printed messages between Amarachi and Chinonso. Her hands trembled as she read. Chinonso had promised Amarachi that he would divorce Ifeoma and marry her. He had even told Amarachi that his marriage was already finished. Ifeoma looked at her husband. You told her our marriage was over? I was confused, Chinonso replied. You were not confused. You were planning my replacement. Amarachi wiped her tears. I believed everything he told me. Ifeoma looked at her. And now? I know he lied. For the first time, Ifeoma realized something unexpected. Chinonso had deceived both women. But there was still one message in the envelope that frightened her. It was from Chinonso to Amarachi. Once Ifeoma signs the documents, everything will belong to us. Ifeoma stared at the words. What documents? Chinonso suddenly became silent. Her expression changed. This was no longer only about cheating. Her husband had been planning something much bigger. Ifeoma looked directly at Chinonso. What documents? He remained silent. Obina, who had just entered the room, noticed the tension. What is happening? Ifeoma handed him the message. Obina read it and immediately looked at his brother. Nonso, what did you do? Chinonso finally admitted that he had prepared divorce papers and planned to pressure Ifeoma into signing them. But why? Ifeoma asked. Chinonso lowered his head. I wanted a new life. Ifeoma's eyes filled with tears. After everything we built together? He said nothing. Then Obina asked, and the family properties? Chinonso hesitated. Ifeoma suddenly understood. He wanted me to sign away my rights. Obina nodded angrily. This is worse than cheating. Chinonso tried to defend himself. I was going to give her something. Something? Ifeoma replied. I helped build that business when you had nothing. She removed her wedding ring and placed it on the table. I gave you 9 years of my life. Chinonso stared at the ring. Ifeoma, please. She shook her head. No more lies. Then Kelechi entered the room carrying a small drawing. Mommy, I made this for you. It showed 3 people holding hands. Ifeoma looked at it and began crying. She hugged her son tightly. At that moment, she made a decision. She would not destroy her family in anger. But she would never allow anyone to destroy her dignity again. 3 days later, Ifeoma moved into the guest room. She stopped arguing with Chinonso. She stopped asking questions. Instead, she focused on herself and Kelechi. Chinonso expected her to eventually forgive him, but Ifeoma had become distant. One evening, he found her packing important documents. What are you doing? Protecting myself. Ifeoma, I said I'm sorry. She looked at him calmly. Sorry doesn't rebuild trust. Then Obina arrived with Chief Emeka Nwosu, the respected family elder. Chief Emeka listened to everything. He looked at Chinonso with disappointment. My son, wealth means nothing when you lose your character. Chinonso lowered his head. I know. Chief Emeka turned toward Ifeoma. Do you still want this marriage? Ifeoma remained silent for a moment. I don't know. Then Amarachi arrived unexpectedly. She looked completely different from before. She was no longer trying to defend herself. Ifeoma, I came to apologize. Ifeoma looked at her. You already apologized. I know. But I need to tell you something. Amarachi revealed that Chinonso had also promised her money and a house if she helped him convince Ifeoma to leave. Ifeoma closed her eyes. Another betrayal. Chinonso tried to speak, but this time, nobody listened. Ifeoma stood up. I have made my decision. Everyone became silent. She looked at Chinonso. I will not beg you to choose me anymore. Then she picked up Kelechi's hand. I am choosing myself. 6 months later, the Ease mansion was no longer filled with laughter. Chinonso had lost much of the trust he once enjoyed, and his business suffered after several people learned about his actions. Ifeoma, however, rebuilt her life. With the money she had saved and the experience she had gained from helping Chinonso's business, she started her own company. It grew quickly. One afternoon, Chinonso visited her office. Ifeoma, I know I don't deserve another chance, he said. But I want to apologize. Ifeoma looked at him calmly. I accepted your apology a long time ago. Can we start again? She shook her head. Forgiveness doesn't always mean returning. Chinonso lowered his eyes. What about Kelechi? You will always be his father. I will never take that away from him. He nodded. Before leaving, he asked one final question. Are you happy now? Ifeoma smiled. Yes. Outside, Kelechi ran toward her. Mommy. She hugged him tightly. Across the road, Chinonso watched them before walking away. Amarachi had also returned to Enugu, where she started working honestly and supporting her mother. Ifeoma never forgot what happened. But she learned something important. Sometimes betrayal destroys a marriage. Sometimes it destroys a family. But sometimes, it also reveals the strength you never knew you had. And from that day forward, Ifeoma never again confused forgiveness with weakness. Because she had lost a husband. But she had found herself.
To another amazing story. Don't forget to smash that like button right now, share this video with all of your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more. See you in the next story.